Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got USC making waves with their sneaker game. Adidas trying to sign Taylor Swift. Bet you didn't see that coming. Drake's next Nocta sneaker, the week's highest release, and of course, a Hard Pass. All right, let's start with some hot takes. So the Air Jordan 3 Reimagined that was rumored to be dropping this holiday season will not be reimagined according to Soul Retriever. Instead, it will be a remastered pair that will try to be as close to the 1988 original as possible without traveling back in a DeLorean in the parking lot of Twin Pines Mall, aka the Puente Hills Shopping Center. And we're kind of torn about it, honestly. Like, going the Reimagine route allows Jordan Brand to get creative with an iconic sneaker and colorway. We've talked about how we would want some unique packaging, like what we got with the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found. And people might not like it, but we would have been interested to see how they could have switched up the materials like the patent leather bred ones or last year's very divisive Royal ones. All that being said, we're not going to complain too much about being able to get another pair of black cement 3s, especially if they're going to emulate the original, even if it's only been 6 years since the last time they dropped. So I'm thinking here, maybe the cadence should be to recreate the OG every 8 to 10 years and then go reimagined during those in-between years. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to USC's JuJu Watkins. Yeah, she's been breaking all sorts of scoring records as a freshman, but she gets some love on the show for also being the coolest teammate. Prior to her USC Trojans taking on rival UCLA last week, she gifted her team and the staff some sweet Vomero 5s. So whatever legitimate qualms some people might have with NIL deals, they can go kick rocks because a moment like this would have been catnip to the hating ass NCAA just a few years ago. They would have launched an investigation on JuJu so fast, Reggie Bush wouldn't be able to juke out of it. And keeping it on campus, USC's Bronny James debuted a PE version of the Nike LeBron Next Gen with the reverse swoosh, Trojan colors, and his signature on the tongue. You know, it's not something I've given a lot of thought to, honestly, but is the Next Gen LeBron's best takedown model? It's got Zoom generation vibes, the colorways have been great, and LeBron rocks with them like he does with Soldiers, Ambassadors, and other takedown lines. I don't know, just a quick thought. Can you guys confirm it for me down in the comments. MSCHF, so they're back and they're coming for Tim's. The upcoming 2x4 boot as modeled by Spike Lee. Wait, does MJ know about this? Anyways, the 2x4 boot places a Timberland adjacent outsole pattern on the tongue and toe cap and a blossom pattern that's not unlike a Louis Vuitton symbol. In response to these boots dropping on the 19th, Timberland has fired back on their socials declaring their boots the original. That clapback is not without precedent. If you didn't know, see, Timberland is owned by the same company as Vans, who you might remember sued MSCHF over the wavy baby a while back. Now, some conspiracy theorists are claiming that this is all one big scheme by MSCHF and VF Corp, but I don't know about that. A collaboration on that level would kind of go against MSCHF's trolling ethos. It wouldn't be punk rock enough for them. Honestly, I hope it isn't the case either, because in this world where the term selling out has lost all its power, it'd be nice to see somebody fight against that dying light. Adidas CDO Bjorn Gulden is back in the news, but this time it has nothing to do with Kanye, unless you're the type to think that everything revolves around Kanye and people who have dabbled in the Kanye-verse, then sure, this is Kanye related. This is what happens when you read the comments of the Complex Sneakers IG. You think everyone and everything is Kanye pilled. Anyway, Golden was asked if he could sign Taylor Swift, to which he replied he would love to. Yeah. And I would love it if Co-Writer would stop thirsting over 2003 Mariah Carey, but you know what they say, it's nice to want things. So yes, in the Kanye verse of possibilities, Golden could sign Taylor Swift to a mega deal not unlike what Beyonce got for her Ivy Park line. But like Beyonce, it's possible that Taylor's influence doesn't necessarily translate to footwear sales long term. I mean, think of all the football-loving dads, Brads, and Chads who thought Taylor was an industry plant by the NFL because the league wanted to expand their audience. All of those bros were so mad that they rallied together and brought the league to its knees, boycotting the sport to the tune of an increase of nearly 9 million more people watching the Super Bowl. Yeah. Can't wait till all those bros who stopped wearing Adidas after they were told not to by you-know-who are complaining that the Adidas Taylor line is not for them as they sell millions of units and then eventually fizzle out in a few years like Ivy Park because nothing lasts forever. like Jordans. Speaking of Jordans,
One fashion trend I dislike, period.
On God, Jordans. Jordans is done, bro.
We rockin' reps if we rockin' Jordans, bro. I'm not dropping no $1,000 on those shoes, bro.
oh, so that's what Goblin Mode looks like. In other Jordan news, Paolo Banchero was spotted rocking a Winter Soldier PE of the Jordan Luka 2. Man, what were those keywords that Baron Zemo used to unlock Bucky? Does Luka have something like that will make him even slower and more methodical and yet still so good? Wait, is that why Grant Williams got shipped out? Did he say those keywords that pissed off Luka and that's why he's been on a scoring tear lately? So this sneakers hypothetical by designer Shane Levine has been making the rounds lately. It's a double or nothing coin toss on the sneakers app where I guess the gamble is if you win, you're guaranteed a pair, but you have to pay double the retail price. And if you lose, you just take the L. That's neat, I guess, but you know what would really make this thinly veiled attempt at gambling even more chaotic and therefore more interesting? If you had the option to double up, but pay the retail price and walk away with nothing if you lose. As an example, say you actually scored a win on the sneakers app. Unlikely, but say you did. And it's on that one colorway of the Jumpman Jack that Fanatic CEO Michael Rubin loves to let the world know that he owns. What if when you're about to check out, that same graphic shows up and says, hey, would you like to own 2 pairs? Pay us now and flip this coin. If you win, you get 2 pairs for the price of 1. But if you lose, you don't get your money back and you get nothing. Now, that's Uncut Gems level of stress, and a supercut of people showing off their wins and losses would be mana to my soul. Ah, that's Goblin Mode. Wait, did I use that right? I used that right? Yes, Goblin Mode. Anyway, so friend of the program, Nick Ingvall, was talking about the upcoming Nike Nocta Hot Step 2 and how it reminded him of classic Nike hoops from the 90s and early 2000s, like the Nike Air How's Your Game on his Outside the Box Substack, that I think you should all check out if you want to learn a thing or two about sneakers beyond just what you see on social media. It's amazing. I'm personally not familiar with the How's Your Games, but I will say that it looks like Drake may have gotten it right this time. Not sure if that will translate to sales of his Noctas as he's still searching for the first purse OVO Jordan hit, but I think there might be more interest in this one than the first Hot Step, which was basically a meme the moment it leaked online. All right. Our pick of the week is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Adidas Superstar Shell Toes on March 22nd for $130. Now, these are going to be housed in blister packs like action figures and Star Wars sneakers. The Shell Toes arrive at a time when the Turtles are experiencing a creative renaissance. As someone who has been around for those peak Turtle years, it's nice to see their team up with Adidas is a little bit more old school, as the colors take us back to the original comic book days when Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello, aka the best one, all wore red bandanas. And as an added bonus, the package also includes a comic book so you can brush up on your TMNT lore. All right, and now into more trivial things like former New York Giants running backs feuding. 2007's Player Hater of the Year is back to take another shot at the crown. Tiki Barber jokingly declared Saquon Barkley was dead to him after Barkley left the New York Giants to sign with the rival Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, wow, even though it was a gag, mission accomplished, as Saquon tore into Tiki on the social. It makes sense, I guess. After Michael Strahan and Eli Manning were the New York Giants that became TV superstars and his twin brother is a Hall of Famer, Tiki had to do something to get in the mix. But to go Michael Corleone on Saquon like he's Fredo, even as a gag, is a little mean, man. Anyways, congrats on giving us the meme everybody's gonna use and misinterpret now whenever a beloved teammate gets the bag with another team. Like, we didn't know Tiki said that when we saw this Lamar Jackson tweet, but because we don't have itchy Twitter fingers, we did the research, found the origin, and now we're here. Writing a somewhat petty segment about a half-decent running back who overvalued himself and burned so many bridges after retirement that he may have inspired the team that beat the then undefeated New England Patriots in the Super Bowl that co-writer may or may not have had a big money bet on. The moral of this bit, Tiki might have been joking, but co-writers hating ass hater bona fides, those are forever. So Travis Scott was at Monday Night Raw this past week as a guest of Jey Uso. Now, it might have something to do with their shared Houston ties, but it could also be a tease for something bigger, like, say, performing at WrestleMania. We even got the requisite picture with Triple Eight and another one with Shinsuke Nakamura, whose theme song is sampled by Lil Uzi Vert in the song Nakamura. Hey, last year we got Uzi walking in the Usos, so getting the other famous Cactus Jack is absolutely in play. If I had to guess, Travis becomes an honorary member of the Bloodline and walks The Rock and Roman Reigns to the ring for the Night 1 tag match against Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes while wearing a new colorway of the Jumpman Jacks. Personally, I'm just glad that hip-hop and wrestling has evolved from the days of the No Limit Soldiers versus the West Texas Rednecks. Still kind of disappointed we never saw Master P's tank in WCW, but honestly, it's probably for the best. Also, shout out to the boss, the CEO Mercedes Moné on her AEW debut. Hopefully her arrival means a renewed interest in the company's women's division, which has a lot of great talents that's constantly bogged down by bad booking. And hey, don't look now, but AEW might finally be turning a corner and getting back to what made them such a viable alternative a few years back. Now, if they could just do something about the clout vampire Chris Jericho leeching off young and promising stars and making everything about him, they'd be back in business. And damn, clout vampire? And I thought You're Dead to Us was the wildest thing we'd say on the show today. Is clout vampire worse than culture vulture? Huh. Anyway, before we move on to Hard Pass, we want to offer our condolences to Akira Toriyama. Last week, the world lost one of its most inspirational cultural figures when Toriyama passed away at the still young age of 68. For generations of kids and adults outside of Japan, Toriyama's work was their gateway to manga, anime, and even video games. As the creator of Dragon Ball and its countless spin-offs and character designer on Dragon Quest and its mini sequels, chances are you know the art style of a Toriyama joint even if you don't know the name behind it. And if by chance you've never seen or read Dragon Ball or never played Dragon Quest, his influence can be found in One Piece, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and basically any anime that involves around superpowered characters with complicated backstories full of retcons punching other superpowered characters with complicated backstories full of retcons. For old school JRPG fans, Toriyama might be most remembered for his beautiful artwork on Chrono Trigger, a masterpiece from the 16-bit era of video games. It's being reported that Toriyama was still working on several projects, including a video game and anime based on his manga Sandland, and of course the never-ending saga of Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Dragon Ball crew. That particular story will never end because its enduring popularity and honestly because it's a moneymaker. But no matter what color hair Goku hair rocks in future sagas, the memories of the OG will endure. Rest in peace, Toriyama-san. All right. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Drive to Survive on Netflix. But before we do that, let's run through our thoughts on the season so far. Congratulations to Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez for going 1-2 in the first two races of the F1 season. No big surprise there, as it sure looks like we're going to have a repeat of the 2023 season when Max and Red Bull just dominated in a way that we haven't seen anybody dominate the sport since, Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes did in the mid and late 2010s, albeit that run was never this one-sided. And as good as Max is right now, he still found time to hop on Twitch and stream some iRacing with his crew on a controller. That's Kobe levels of dedication, man. Wow. Unfortunately, the sad part is that this dominance will be overshadowed by the Succession level drama that's going on behind the scenes at Red Bull. We may never know the full story behind the serious allegations against Principal Christian Horner, but it sucks that the employee in question's story is being used as a cudgel by people in the organization to gain power and remove those in their way, allegedly. If it was just an old-fashioned struggle between the team and the driver who's a generational talent's people, I'd be all for that. This situation? Yeah, it's too icky for us to make light of. We have to find our joy elsewhere, like the battle for the third place in Constructors' Championship between Mercedes, McLaren, and Aston Martin. Then there's the rumor mill surrounding which drivers will end up where in 2025, even though 2024 is just starting. That part is so wild to us. Lewis Hamilton is going to be in Ferrari next year, and yet he's suiting up for Mercedes this season. The American sport equivalent of that would have been Tom Brady announcing he's signing with Tampa Bay, but with a year left in New England, or LeBron James doing the decision in 2009. The coverage here would have been madness. Like, assuming Helmut Marko and Jos Verstappen don't take their talents, i.e. Max, to Brackley, England, that Mercedes seat is going to be super coveted. Carlos Sainz is out at Ferrari, so he would ostensibly be a trade for Hamilton if he were to take that Mercedes seat. Fernando Alonso, F1's resident line stepper, could be a stopgap for Mercedes should Max honor his contract and then move over in a few years. And that's not even counting the young drivers in the lower levels who might be the next Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. Although Drive to Survive has also taught us that those kids could also be the next Mick Schumacher or Nick DeVries. In Formula One, the driver movement drama is definitely there. But what Hamilton did doesn't feel as earth-shattering to longtime fans as it does to newcomers like us. Okay, now for the hard pass. Surprisingly, it actually goes to Drive to Survive for not doing a good enough job of explaining the actual racing parts to newbies like myself and co-writer. It may be the most common complaint of people who love the show or love to hate the show, but as someone who thought season 1 of Full Swing spent way too much time explaining how golf tournaments work, Drive to Survive barely scratches the surface of how deep F1 races can get. Like, co-writer watched the MKBHD video about Marquez's growing fascination with F1 and learned more about things like DRS and the purpose of soft and hard tires and just how important the halo is in 20 minutes compared to 6 seasons of Drive to Survive. Now, if we're just Drive to Survive exclusive watchers, that might be fine. But as co-writer pointed out, there's too much Mario Kart for me to ignore. There's also important storylines and races that are conveniently omitted because they don't fit the narrative that Netflix is pushing, such as the 2022 Sao Paulo race where Verstappen refused to allow Perez to pass him in order to help with Perez's standings in the Drivers' Championship. Yes, it's understandable that Netflix can't cover every little thing in F1, but to sacrifice almost all of the technical stuff, that's a bit of a bummer. Maybe now that our guy Gunther Steiner is no longer on an F1 team, they can use that time to explain some of the finer points of racing. Better yet, bring in Gunther to explain all of it. Come on, Netflix. You know you need our main man for season 7. You guys can only milk so much Daniel Ricciardo content for so long, unless he picks up the pace and actually earns the Red Bull seat in 2025. Then we're back to where it all started. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I'm Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.